Hopefulness day 14. Water, filtered water. So, yesterday, finally, after several hours of so many issues online, trying to figure out exactly how to do it, went and rented a car. Unfortunately, by the time I got there, the car that was available was bigger than I'd want. It's a Kia K5 or something like that. It's a decent sized sedan. It's like a full size sedan. And I guess because the their stock was limited, and this is Super Bowl weekend. By the time I got there, I wasn't able to get like the price range that I wanted either. And I mean, because like when I was looking online to get like effectively a 7-day run, it was going to be about like $450. But by the time I got there, and again, I don't know how much this really affects prices and whatnot, but if I wanted to do the 7-day with this one, it was gonna be like 500 and something. So I dropped it down a day because like the overall price, because I had to. So the whole thing was, there was this catch-22 situation going on, right? So it's like I don't have any insurance. Every time I looked anywhere to get some insurance, I even called Esurance, and they were like, "What's the VIN?" And I'm like, "I don't have that information." And they're like, "Well, can't do anything," which sucks. So I wanted to see if they had an option at Enterprise, and they did. And, ended up being like, I think for 6 days it's like $126, which is not exactly a good price. But, and then there's, there's the various other insurances that are involved. Because I effectively pay for the full package, because the last thing I want to do is have something happen and then be like royally financially fucked. I've decided to stop buying these too because they have palm oil in them. Let's see. Where are you at? Yeah, palm oil. I didn't realize that when I was buying them. Last thing I want to do is I mean, it's difficult because palm oil is in so much crap, but a big ass thing of cottage cheese, I already ate half of it. But this is the last of these that I'll be buying. And unfortunately, I've been buying these a lot in the last year, some change. I mean, they're not exactly healthy either. So one of the things I wanted to do after getting the car, and like the original estimate for 7 days was just like almost $750 or something like that. After all the things were said and done, dropping it down one day, dropped it into the 600s. I was like, all right. And then there's a $300 deposit that you can get back. So everything is roughly sitting at, like $900 and something. So it's good that I went and pulled $2,500 because I'm still sitting at about $3,000 in the bank, and I think it's about $6,500 in Fidelity right now. So car situation also is extremely frustrating because, like, oh man, I should have been trained in downtown. Holy fuck. Like, so much of who I have been was coming back. And I mean, I get it. And like, I don't know how well I'm gonna do it. Because I finished I think I finally got out of there. Well, I went up there at about, like, I want to say about 2, maybe a little later, because I didn't have the information, so I couldn't get insurance. But since they had the insurance option there, and so that took up a bit of my time just trying to figure that out. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll just go up there and I'll figure out what I can by the time I get there. So I took the train up and got there, was going through the paperwork, it was almost finalized, but they needed so much information, so much more than I thought they would need. I mean, they needed like phone numbers of they needed like 4 phone numbers. It's like, Jesus Christ. And then they needed a verified address of some kind of where I was technically staying. I guess so that they could go tow it if, it came to that. Well, fortunately, we have, an actual, like, rental agreement. But I was like, that's at home. I wasn't expecting to bring that with me. And they're like, well, how far is this? Like 3 miles, maybe 4. They're like, oh, that's not too bad. We'll get our driver take you there. We'll take the car that you're going to be, getting so that we don't rent that out. I was like, all right, cool. We drop off over here. And the one thing that I didn't realize until he came over here, because like I hadn't been driving and I hadn't really paid attention because, my focus is so, depending on what I'm doing, my focus is very different on what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for, what I'm thinking about. And that's going to come into play in a little bit too with regards to some other stuff, but especially when driving in downtown. But when we got here, I realized that this side of the street has no parking on it because there's no parking allowed. And I'm just like, wait, hold the fuck. That was revelation number 1. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be weird. This is gonna be, oh shit, what the fuck? So, there's that. And then he gets here, he drops me off. It literally takes me less than a minute. I just had to walk in here. I walked exactly to the spot where I thought it was, just had to shuffle a couple pieces of paper around just to find the right envelope, walk back out, lock everything up. And then he, picks me up, we drive back, had crazy good conversation, older retired guy talking about, all the crazy shit that's been going on the last couple years. It's nice to finally have somebody who A, wants to talk about it, and B, is in my echo chamber. I mean, I know that echo chambers can be bad, but sometimes it's just nice to talk about it and have somebody agree with you. because I see so much dissenting online, and it's difficult sometimes to find a middle ground to even have a conversation, a discussion, try to figure out it when you can't even agree on the same thing that's wrong. It's problematic when it comes to trying to figure out how to fix things. So I got the car and I was like, all right. When I drove off the lot, it was at about 4, just after 4, which is rush hour in this area. There's so many people in Los Angeles and so much that goes on that it's not just a normal 9 to 5. It's like a 7 to 7 kind of situation. Whereas that's where your typical workers are. And because there's so many of them and there's so many cars, and these are things that, I understood going forward would be possible. And, just because when you're not driving, and even if you are and you're not going somewhere and you don't know where you're going, there's less pressure on you to get everything right. Because everything also encompasses more than just, your driving and driving ability. And I mean, so I turn onto the main street that's, I'm sitting there waiting for my turn. There's a big old bus lane that's there. I don't want to get into the bus lane because the last thing I want to do is get pulled over or something for driving in the fucking bus lane. So I wait, I take my turn, I cut into traffic as being aggressive, and I hate being aggressive. And I get on that one main street that's right there. I turn onto the next main street. And barely seconds after I get on the main street and get in the lane that I want to get in, there's a fucking motorcycle cop behind me. And I'm like, fuck. It's the last fucking thing that I need right now. Because, motorcycle cops are usually a lot more aggressive from everything that I've been able to determine. And, I'm doing everything right. It's just the last fucking thing I need is a cop behind me. And I was like, fuck, man. This is not what I fucking need right now. It's already stressful enough as it is, having gone through this roughly 4-hour process of getting the damn car. And, and it's a good car. It's like, there's so many nice things about it. And then some things about it that I was really frustrated with that fortunately been able to rectify to a degree, but oh God. And so, I'm just like, and the stretch of road that I'm on is not long that I need to be on, but the fucking cop is there for like 75% of it. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. And, I'm just trying to maintain speed with traffic and, not do anything stupid. And all I'm doing is just going down to my my storage unit. And so I get to the storage unit, I park. Parking job's not the best because I backed into it. And I'm not great at backing up, even though it's got one of those rear cameras, but it doesn't show you everything you need. And I wish the camera was more on the ass of the vehicle instead of, because apparently it's like up on the roof somewhere. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I want information that's a little bit more, because there's not, it's got a big ass. That's one of the things that I found really frustrating with newer cars is that, yes, they have a lot of trunk space, but they got these fucking huge asses, and it cuts off your window, the rear windshield wiper, windshield, whatever. And so you have less visual space overall, and then the ass of the car is in the way as it is. And so that makes it frustrating. And so I see value in and obviously necessity of these rear cameras, but at the same time, like, you know, there's this trade-off to it. But anyway, backed up, okay job, not great. And again, it's a bigger car anyway, so I don't feel as comfortable in it as I normally would. I like smaller cars, just in general, which is why I was hoping to get something that was also on the smaller side. But you know, because they were, like, when I was online, when I came back, like, if I tried to look at their site, it said it was sold out of cars. I was like, well, shit. So park there, I go upstairs, I grab a couple of things, and I'm like, I need to grab more than just a couple of things. And I start picking up a lot of stuff that I need. But in order to really pick it all up, I needed to go get one of those they've got little hand trucks. And so I go into the office, ask them for that. They unlock it, go up there, grab a bunch of stuff I've got. So I got my rice cooker. I've got the box with all of my like pots and pans and stuff that, for all intents and purposes, like, I don't have a whole lot as it is. I've got like a pot and a pan. I've got a smaller one too, smaller pot. But like, my pan is about as big as this skillet. I think it's about a 10-inch. It's a nice aluminum one. Let's see. And, you know, various other things in a big old box. And then I got like a bag of clothes, because I'm out of clothes right now and I need to wash some. I figured I'd, you know, since I'm going to be approaching staying here as if this is my future home, I need to, you know, start getting some stuff that matters when it comes to everyday stuff, including my clothes and shit. And so I got a blender, you know, my blender, even though there is one down here, I just don't want to have to deal with it. I'll use mine. Because I was like, well, I can make some smoothies again. I haven't done those in a long time. You know, usually I would put in like, and I'd have to go back in time and remember what my, you know, my things are. Also, like, I got a few boxes that had some like sundries in them that were associated with sort of everyday use things. Measuring cup, you know, some more, you know, more of my kitchen utensils, especially my knife, because like I don't really have a knife. And so there's several things that I'm considering. And I'll have to wash some stuff up. But one of the things that I got that really mattered, it was in the opening shot, but it's this. My zero water, filtered water pitcher. And oh my God, is it night and day. I wish I had brought this months ago. But, you know, not knowing what the situation was going to be like, not approaching it in that sense, in that, like, I'm going to stay here kind of sense. The water is just so much better. Oh my God, it's of all the frustrations, and I'm not even done with them all. So like I get the water pitcher, I get all the other stuff. I got one of my, because I had 2 towers for AC. I got one of them. I also got the vacuum cleaner, but the vacuum cleaner doesn't have a bag in it. And it's a bag vacuum cleaner, like the one with the long hose and everything, because like there's this old Ask Reddit from a vacuum cleaner salesman, and it's one of the best AMAs I've ever read. Like, not only is the dude like super charming and everything, but like super informative. It's everything that you need in an ask me anything kind of situation. And so, based on all the information he said, like, the best vacuum cleaners you can get are the ones that are pretty much like the old kinds. The ones with the tube and, you know, the body that sits on the ground kind of situation. Those things almost never lose suction. Whereas like a Dyson and all the other uprights and stuff, they start to lose suction really quickly. And it's like, I have found that to be true with the one that I'm using, and it's like a cheap one that I got off of Amazon. It's like maybe 40 or 50 bucks or something like that, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure, but you know, it's a small little unit. Nothing, you know, it's not like I'm vacuuming an entire fucking house with it. And like there's on the nozzle at the end, there's like a little slider thing to help with airflow, and you know, it can allow you to, you know, modify the suction power. That thing is almost never entirely closed. Like if I was vacuuming this place up, it would probably be entirely closed, just because like I'd be vacuuming, you know, hardwood floors and laminate and all that stuff. But like when I was vacuuming on the carpet, holy shit, man, I couldn't. Like it was just like it was thing. That fucking thing sucked, but in a good way. Oh fuck. So yeah, I went down, I packed everything, and the amount of stuff that I got just so happened to fit pretty well in the trunk. Like the overall amount of things that I got and everything else. So that worked out really nice. And then the next trip was to the grocery store because I needed to get stuff like cottage cheese. Because cottage cheese, see, this is one thing. Again, it's like this is cheap and it's filling. But if you're not in the, if you don't have the situation, you know, it's like either I gotta go up there and then take all the time that I could get and blah blah blah. And these are heavy because I got 2 of these. And this thing's already half empty because I ate half of it last night. You'd be like, damn, half of it? How many fucking calories in that? Well, half is of this entire container is only about 660 calories. That is significantly less calories. This is 500. So I went there. I didn't find the mustard that was, because I didn't really look for it when I was at my storage unit. Because I got this big fucking bottle of unopened mustard. And I'm like, when I was leaving and I was already on the road and whatnot, I was like, oh, fuck. I was actually in this Food for Less. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I need mustard. Shit. Because I wasn't going to drive back. And I mean, like, it's not far. Like, from here to my storage unit is probably literally less than 5 miles. But it's not a 5-mile drive in any kind of sense. And so I was leaving. I left, like I said, just after 4. Like, it was like 4:04, 4:05, something like that. The reason I know this is because the clock in the car was wrong when I was driving. I was like, it's not 8:05 right now. And fortunately, it was really quick and easy to change it because it just needed to change the time zone. So, actually, since I'm talking and I'm not eating it right now, I might as well put it back in the fridge. So anywho, like I said, I made my way there. I was heading towards the store, and then I turned onto Exposition, which is like one of the main thoroughfares, and it's also right next. It's where the Expo line runs as well. But because I'm a doofus, I was thinking that I was north. Like, here's the food list. I was thinking I was north of it. I was south of it, and I turned south. And I'm like, fuck. So, one thing I did was like, all right, well, I missed that. And I wasn't trying to be, like, super... I was trying to be as calm as I could. I didn't have the radio on or anything. Just talking to myself this whole time. The problem is still trying to figure out which streets were, because I have not been driving, and so certain streets are not familiar with for me when it comes to a lot of factors. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why GPS is such a big deal out here. But at the same time, like, oh, before I left the storage unit, one of the problems with the car that I didn't realize the problem was, so I felt and probably looked like a total fucking idiot. So when I got in the car, because it's a hybrid car, and so it's a push to start, I thought I started the car because I had never heard or seen it, and I didn't get any instructions on how to start the car. And here's the funny thing, right before I got in the car, I mean, I showed him my interim license and all that stuff. Right before I got in the car, the guy was like, is there any other questions that you have for me? And I was like, how do you drive? And I'm like, yeah, you probably get that all the time. He's like, nobody's ever said that to me. I don't know if he was bullshitting me or not. That was funny. But it was also a tad prophetic. Because when I got in the car, when it was at the storage unit, I turned on everything and I moved it into drive, and it wasn't driving. Like, it felt like the power steering wasn't working and all sorts of shit. But it was coasting. I thought I was moving. I thought it was in some sort of low power fucking thing or whatever. I don't know what the fuck. It's essentially in neutral. So on electric cars, there's something called accessory mode. And it'll happen if you don't push the fucking button long enough. And I didn't figure it out. I was sitting in the, and I had been like coasting and moving, and then I was stuck. And I'm like, fuck, and it's getting hot in there because like it's hot. It was hot as fuck like yesterday. It was like almost 90, I think, 90 Fahrenheit, and so like the AC would turn on, and I'm trying to turn the car on, and I'm turning it back off, and then it's getting hot because the AC's off, and it's like, and I'm frustrated, and I'm not thinking about windows or anything, and the last thing I want is fucking people to hear me, but I'm kind of in the way. And so I keep turning the fucking thing on and off, on and off, on and off. And then at one point, I just push it down. Like, I don't remember how it came to be in my brain, but I had it off. And because it's a push, you have to, push the brake pedal down, which I was doing anyway. Because, I do that all the time. That's just a habit. Finally push it, and it fucking starts. And I'm like, oh, well, shit. Now I feel like a fucking idiot. And then to increase or to reinforce my idiocy, I try to exit out of an exit that's not really an exit, because they have that. So they have two sides to the parking lot for the public storage that I got my stuff stored at. And although they have an access point and everything, it's locked and it's turned off, and I couldn't tell because the fucking gate wasn't opening. And then I noticed there was a chain around it, and I'm like, well, fuck, man, I feel like an idiot. So I turn around and I get out. And so like the whole process has not been good. And one could say, well, this is just a sign. And then, like I said, I was driving, I get down to Exposition, and instead of turning right, which would have been the smarter route, because obviously it would have taken me there, but it would have also put me on the correct side of the road, whereby getting into the Food for Less would be a lot easier. And again, this is a larger car. This is a full-size sedan. I'm not accustomed to driving them. Even the Iconic that we had, I think, was roughly a full-size sedan. And it's kind of on the bigger side, and I'm not accustomed to driving them. And so like, they have a longer wheelbase, they have a longer chassis, so you kind of have to take wider turns, but at the same time, like, you can't be too wide and all sorts of other shit. And it feels like everything is a little on the smaller side in LA as it is. It feels like everything is kind of on the cramped side, and I'm accustomed to driving, out in Dallas, where everything does not feel like it's cramped. So anyway, get the store, get the stuff, get some mustard, because I got some hot dogs that I want to eat, and I want to put some mustard on them. Because I like my mustard a lot. And then I even got flour. I have a bag of flour because I think I'm gonna bake. I hope I will, but I may have to go back to the store and get some other things. Probably gonna need a mixing bowl because I never had one. And then also probably gonna need like a loaf pan, maybe, depending on what how I'm gonna approach some things. So yeah, I got a few. I didn't go crazy. I got some eggs, which is easy. You don't have to necessarily bake with eggs. You can just. I'm gonna hard boil some anyway, just because I do the hard boiled eggs thing. It's healthier, generally, and filling. One thing though, they didn't fucking have, like, they didn't have at all at the Food for Less that's right down the street. They did not have frozen fruit. I don't, like, nowhere. I was gonna get like frozen fruit and an ice cream, and then I was like, well, the whole point of the ice cream was to have like something cold, sweet, and whatever. But then I was like, but that's why I make the smoothies. Like, that's literally the reason why I make the smoothies, is because they're basically, you know, better for you kind of ice cream situations. And I'm like, okay, where's the frozen fruit? And I went through those fucking frozen aisles. There was 2.5, there's like 1.5 really, because there's one that has 2 sides, and then there's one that only has 1/2 side. And the 1/2 side is the one with ice cream and other shit. And I'm like, where the fuck is the frozen fruit? So I went over to the produce section to see if there was a frozen set. No. There's refrigerated areas, but nothing, no frozen fruit. I'm like, what the fuck? How is there no frozen fruit in this store? Fuck. So I gotta figure out where to find frozen fruit. Where to find frozen fruit? Hey, 3 F's, but I pulled that off pretty well. Because, like, what I would do is I would put in, like, milk and, shit, what is it? Milk and yogurt, Greek yogurt. Try to do whole fat, but they don't have any. Like, nobody has any of the fucking whole fat, which sucks. Because I like the taste of it, and it feels more filling. And then there's the fruit. I'll get like strawberries, or I'll get like, sometimes I get blueberries, sometimes I get mixed berries. It depends. It's a lot healthier, and it's really filling, and it's really nice, especially on cold day or on hot days. So I'm probably gonna go to Target if there is one nearby, because they will definitely have it, hopefully. So there's that. But coming back was where the real frustration came into play. And I'm gonna sit down for this one. So the parking over here is atrocious. Like, it is absolutely terrible. Like, she told me there would be days where it'd be hard to find parking. And I would expect the weekends would be the worst, which is when people are not working, generally speaking. Although this is, like, when I was talking to the dude and I told him where he was staying at, oh, he's like, you're in the hood. Fuck, man, you straight up in the hood. And I was like, I'm wherever I am. And because I'm off of Wilshire and Martin Luther King. And getting over here wasn't terrible. Although, admittedly, like, so I exited out of the easier side of Food for Less, because it's on, it's off of Western and Jefferson. And I was thinking Jefferson had a left turn signal, and it doesn't, which sucks. There's too many streets in this fucking town that don't have turn signals, that don't have left arrows. And so you're lucky to be able to get, like, if you're the first car at the light, you're gonna get to go, but you're gonna get to go at the very end. And then if you're the second car, you'll probably get to go, and you'll be in the intersection when the light's red, but that's technically legal as long as you're already in the intersection when the light turns red. And if you're third car, you're probably going to be breaking the law. But nobody really ever enforces that out here. So it's pretty chaotic when it comes to that thing. And it's frustrating. And that's also another part of it. It's like, okay, I'm stuck behind these cars and it's busy and it's darker and I can't see shit and all sorts of crap. So I get into the area. I drive down this street just looking to see if there's any parking, and there's no parking on this street anywhere that's available. And so I turned left onto the nearby street and I couldn't see any parking. Now there was this truck that was parking, which I didn't realize until later. And so I'm basically circling the one block around just to like, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, where the fuck can I park? You know, like this is a bigger car, of course. I don't know. I'm not good, one, at like parallel parking. I never did it, never needed to. Two, like even if it comes to that, there's not a lot of options. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's a spot. No, that's not gonna work. And so I probably spent a good solid 30 minutes driving around this neighborhood just trying to figure out a parking spot. And I found one, but it's on the next street over at the corner. And it was just enough space for me to park this fucking car. Like I got out and I looked. I had to turn my light on because the lighting of the house that was right there, there's this little yappy ass fucking dog that was, you know, growling and shit at me. And I'm like, yeah, I know, you're scary. So I got the door propped open. I go over there and I'm trying to check to see. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got like another foot I gotta go. And then I go look at the back end of the car just to make sure that I don't bump into the other fucking vehicle that's next to me, because it's just, the whole thing is just a nightmare. And so then, fuck, I want to like shut the car down, but it's not shutting down because I'm still not really familiar with the fucking car. And so I just turned the whole thing, like I was outside trying to turn it off and lock it and everything. It wasn't fucking doing anything. The lights weren't turning off or anything. And I'm just like, oh, so I get back in the car. Because it wasn't acting the way that I felt that a car would act, especially from previous attempts. Because, I had to have the doors open so I could pull stuff out. I was thinking if I just closed the doors and then lock it, it would turn off. But no, it doesn't do that. And I tried to turn it off just by popping my head in. And I'm like, I don't know if I gotta turn it off with doors closed or anything. So I did that and it worked. And then it was like, okay, now let's see what happens if I open the doors. And then it was, it was just frustration. And I get back, I dump off all the food and I put it in and I'm like, fuck. I need to go get my bag with my documents because I don't want to leave that in the car. No matter what, if the car gets broken into, if it gets fucking towed for some reason, I haven't even checked. Like, I woke up at 9 o'clock this morning. It is 11:30 almost. I still haven't gone to check to see if the fucking car's still there. And I assume it is, but at the same time, I don't know. And that was one of the biggest frustrations and one of the biggest concerns that I had was the nature of parking. The next street over has plenty. It's just not convenient at all. And and on that street, it has both sides get to park. On this side, no. It's like, what the fuck, man? Why is it? And like, this street that I'm on, there's like 2 block length sections wherein this side cannot be parked on. But then as it continues, you get to park. I'm like, fuck, man, who built this fucking city? God damn it, man. So one of the things I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna call. There's an apartment complex that's right down the street from PCC, and I'm going to call them up and see what kind of availabilities they have. Because it's like $900 a month, at least last I learned. I don't know how much it is now, but I'm gonna see what their living costs and stuff are. Because I mean, it's a small place. I mean, it's about as big as this kitchen. Maybe it's slightly smaller or slightly bigger rather, but it's not like it's maybe as big as this kitchen and then 50% extra, which isn't ideal, and especially because it's like $900 a month. Again, the last time I checked. But I've got the car until Wednesday. I gotta turn that back in for effectively 3:30 for all intents and purposes. It didn't have much gas in it, unfortunately. I wish they had filled that fucking thing up. So now I gotta fill it up. And I gotta find out where to fill it up. And it's not gonna be cheap because gas out here is at least $4.50 in most places. But I've got a couple of things in there that I can get some stuff out, pots and pans and whatnot. And although yes, I need to consider this place as if it's where I'm staying, I'm also still going to consider trying to find cheaper places. So there's that. And I'll be honest, like, although it's costed me close to $700 for 6 days, that's still cheaper. Total, like daily price type situation. It's cheaper than the movers were. So there's that. And so I just gotta make some decisions. I gotta take some actions. And I gotta maybe park the car at a different spot if I'm lucky. But I mean, once it's nighttime, chances are all the spots where people would normally be parking are probably there. They're probably taken up. So I'm just gonna have to figure something out. But I think I'm done for now. I'm gonna take care of a couple things in here, and then I'm gonna go check out my car and get some stuff out of the car. And maybe park it somewhere else for the time being, so that I can get stuff out of the car a lot easier. We shall see. Have fun.